right, let's take you back to East London now, where the South African Human Rights Commission has just, in the last hour, in fact, released its final investigation, a report on its final investigation into the Enyobeni Tavern tragedy. The Commission says the Eastern Cape Liquor Board's conduct contributed to violations of human rights, but it's also criticising the police and the health department's handling of the matter. 21 young people died at what's known as a Pens Down celebration back in 2022. Our reporter Sipha Kema is in East London and she was tracking that briefing by the Human Rights Commission. She joins us now live. Sipha, I have the executive summary of what was quite a long report by the Human Rights Commission, but essentially it talks about critical lapses in regulations around alcohol regulation, around alcohol insofar as young people are concerned.
Well, that is true, Michelle. Looking at the systemic failure and on various sectors that were or could have been a part of the Enyobeni Tavern incident, or what contributed really to that incident that occurred on the 26th of June 2022. Now, what we have here is the South African Human Rights Investigative Report, which it was initiated by the Commission themselves. And I just want to give you just the respondents here, which is the three respondents is the South African Police Service respondent, who is the first respondent in the matter, Buffalo City Metro Municipality's second respondent, and the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, the third respondent. Now, you mentioned that it is a quite an extensive report, 86 pages that is. Now, I'm just going to highlight, I think, the important findings that were issued by the Commission, where inadequate enforcement of liquor regulations by the Eastern Cape Liquor Board and SAHRC, also looking at insufficient oversight and capacity with the Buffalo City Metro Municipality, and to monitor compliance with the zoning and building regulations, going back to those bylaws that weren't implemented there, Michelle, and also talking about delayed and opaque processes within the Department of Health regarding the investigations and the findings, as well as the inquest proceedings. Now, if you remember, with the findings or the cause of death, it took 4 reports and 4 announcements by the Department of Health citing various causes of death, which left the families confused. And of course, the pending inquest, which we're still waiting on, which has been delayed a number of times. But I'm not going to get into it too much, but someone who's been part of this is the provincial manager of the South African Human Rights Commission here in the Eastern Cape. That's Dr. Eileen Carter. Dr. Eileen, I think let's start by why the Commission decided to, investigate this matter.
Thank you so much. In 2022, in June, a few hours after the incident, we were on site. And we realized that this was a tragedy that struck not only Buffalo City, but South Africa as a whole. The President, very aptly so, indicated during the funeral of the victims that these were not only the children of Buffalo City, but these were the children of South Africa. And we then resolved to initiate an investigation. So the Commission is not did not investigate criminal liability or civil liability. Ours was to investigate systemic issues and then monitor the observance of human rights as we are mandated to do by the Constitution.
Now, I know the report states that this is a sobering account, meaning, looking at some of the issues, legislative issues, regulations that you made recommendations on, such as changing the liquor age restriction nationally from 18 to 21, and also issues that have got to do with zoning, how far, these liquor establishments are to homes, residents, churches, schools. Then how do we ensure that these are implemented? Because currently there are supposed to be bylaws that are assisting to that effect and laws to the liquor age restriction. How are they supposed to implement them and monitor? I think that's where the major issue is.
Absolutely. The report, I can say, one of the central themes is a lack of oversight. We have laws in place, we've got bylaws in place, we've got regulations in place, and we've got authorities in place who are supposed to be doing this oversight job. Now, you are mentioning a reflection on potential amendment to legislation. Now, that has already been conducted, the policy review has been conducted, and the recommendations has transpired into potential amendment legislation of the Liquor Act. Now, government has reflected on that and said in this liquor amendment bill, we should be looking at curbing the age not 18 and bringing it up to 21, determining that a liquor outlet cannot exist and be situated within 500 meters of a school. So those are already contained in the amendment bill. What we are asking is for government to follow through, and let's make this bill an act, and let's fast track this process, because it has been an ongoing process since 2016.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Carter. That's Dr. Eileen Carter from the South African Human Rights Commission in the Eastern Cape, now talking about some of the systemic issues that affected, or rather contributed to what had occurred in Enyobeni, talking about that bill where certain changes need to be made to the Liquor Act. I mean, you heard from her, Michelle, saying that since 2016, this amendment bill has been in pending or in process, but rather now it's time to act. Because, I mean, after Enyobeni here, just here in BCM, in several parts of the country, we have witnessed these pens down parties continuing, meaning it's not coming to an end until something is done. Now, we spoke to the parents as well regarding this report and asked how they feel about the findings, and we were told that they are actually happy, and this is giving them hope. As you would know, that with the confusion surrounding the various reports that were issued on the cause of death, but not only that, but also having to wait for the inquest, which has been delayed a number of times since last year. So they're saying that these findings have actually given them hope that, you know, something is going to happen, or rather a justice will take place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been almost 2 years ago now, and we're only just seeing some kind of justice, as you say, Sipha, taking place. Very interesting as well that one of the other recommendations, Sipha, is that the Eastern Cape Liquor Board puts a moratorium of issuing on-site licenses. And that's, according to the Human Rights Commission, that's something that needs to be done until we can ensure that we have more capacity for effective monitoring of these institutions, right? That's really one of the big issues, not only in the Eastern Cape, but probably around the country, the issue of monitoring and accountability.
Well, that is true, Michelle, but when we spoke to the Eastern Cape Liquor Board CEO in the Eastern Cape, she did actually mention that there's a huge shortage of agents. Now, you'd find that within the agents and, you know, the liquor establishments across the Eastern Cape, there is not enough agents. So one agent would have to look at over hundreds of liquor establishments. And to that extent, then it becomes impossible, really, to monitor each and every one. And that's why you would have these illegal ones or unlicensed, you know, liquor establishments mushrooming across certain areas, not just in the Eastern Cape. It looks like it is a national crisis where there aren't enough agents. So the shortage of resources and also people on the ground is a huge problem and crisis for the liquor boards.
Absolutely. Sipha, Kema, let me thank you for that update and for that interview. Incredibly important development this, the South African Human Rights Commission releasing its final investigation into the Enyobeni tragedy.